Incoming message.
It was the dawn of the third age of mankind.
Groovy.
Hi-ho. This is me, Kermit the Frog.
Hello there.
Moopsy.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Not a great plan.
Program complete. Enter when ready.
Let's see what's out there. Engage.
Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the street lights spark. We're those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DC Comics lighting up the airwaves. Blasters of books, we're geek to the core. Laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys.
Yes, indeed, we are those sci-fi guys, and this is at those sci-fi guys show. Just two working dudes, different lives, different jobs, but a whole lot of love for science fiction and the fun that comes with. We're your hosts. I am P.S. McKay, and you might as well call me Pete Sweaty because I had to turn on the AC today.
Well, and I'm DT Cavman, and while it had been getting warmer, it got flipping cold the last couple of days. But it's not that different, I'm used to having a St. Patrick's Day and cold weather.
Yeah, that's usually how it used to be for me. And my God, it's 94 degrees today.
It was about 35 today. It was about 40 yesterday. But I'll tell you what keeps you warm: Guinness.
Yeah.
It's a little late for me to have some Guinness. I'll sláinte to you with a Smithers.
Sláinte. Yeah. I got called out a couple times yesterday by different people I called and professional corporations. They caught my name and they're like, "Oh, it's your day. Hope you have a good one." I'm like, "All right. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, thanks. Let's take care of this case now, shall we?" So, good stuff. Good stuff. We're a little bit behind on everything. I apologize. So, a couple things dropped today. Well, one big thing dropped today.
Yes.
They've been teasing us for the last 3 months about when this thing was going to come out. There was talk about it was going to come out in December. Right before Christmas, that would be with the Avatar Fire and Ash movie. Nope. And then sometime in nope. And yet they just I'm so discombobulated. It's let's see. This. Here it is. And no, there it is. And God dang, really? There we go. There it is, everybody. The Spider-Man brand new day trailer.
Looks like somebody's been eating his upside down cake.
I actually have an upside down cake in the fridge. That's the weirdest thing. That's a weird coincidence. It's been there for months. It's in the freezer actually, but
well.
So, isn't upside down cake just like angel cake or pound cake?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Wait, technically, isn't all cake upside down because you have not all cake, but Bund cakes are upside down cakes. I know that.
Well, yeah.
Molded cakes are upside down cakes. Anyway. Well, enough with the hot cake talk, everybody. Why don't we watch some Spider-Man Brand New Day, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to get...
I can't believe our first hit MIP. MJ, come on. Pretend like you're not the happiest you've ever been in your entire life.
I can't.
I knew it!
Nice.
Hi, my name is Peter Parker.
Hi, Peter Parker.
You don't remember me, but we used to know each other. Something bad was going to happen, and the only way to stop it was to make everyone forget about me.
Say
Because I'm not
keys.
just Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I'm Spider-Man.
Spider-Man theme.
What the hell, Frank? You just hit me with a van!
Frank
Quit your
Castle.
whimpering. Suit yourself. Mother.
Go home!
And sometimes Spider-Man has to do
Punish
the
it.
hard thing, even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart.
That's
not bad.
Ezra.
What is happening to me?
Spider-Man.
Man Spider.
Oh, God.
Gratuitous shirtless scene.
Excuse me, Dr.
Yeah.
Banner. I need your help.
What did you say your name was? If DNA is mutating, it would be enormously dangerous.
Spiders have 3 life cycles. When between cycles, it can leave the spider vulnerable to threats.
We are faced with a danger that we can't control. One we can't even see. Stay out of my way.
You're losing it, kid.
And for those spiders who make it through, it amounts to a kind of
Oh, that was pretty cool.
rebirth.
That's not the hand, is it?
Who knows? They're throwing everything in this one.
They're a housewarming gift.
I'm MJ.
I'm just a neighbor from across the hall.
Friendly neighbor.
Yeah. Okay.
I think MJ's boyfriend is Ezra
And Ezra would be
from Rebels, Ahsoka, the live action Ezra.
Oh. Yeah, because that was hot 3 years ago. just throwing out the term Ezra. I thought he looked a little like Flash.
Yeah, a
from
little.
the earlier movies. Let me see.
Well, let's not forget I met the guy this summer, so.
You met the Flash? Oh yeah, because he was he at Rhode Island Comic Con?
No, I met Ezra. I met live action Ezra.
Oh yeah.
Mom is funny.
Sorry, I'm just stuck on Flash, man. I got a one-track mind.
To be honest with you, Flash guy. I mean, they tried to make him a little sympathetic as like a lonely rich kid, but he was mostly.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I mean, there's reasons why people act the way they do.
Yeah.
That worked out well. So he dealt with his insecurities by making other people feel insecure.
Apparently, yes. The hand is supposed to be in this.
Okay. So that means we gotta have Daredevil in this if we're gonna have Frank Castle in this, right? Like that's necessary.
There's rumors, nothing's been confirmed.
I know. This is probably the first MCU movie that I've actually wanted to go see in the theater since Guardians Volume 3.
Avengers is coming out at, right around Christmas, and they've been teasing that all year, including last Christmas. This I haven't heard a whiff of. And I was like, oh,
No.
This is happening. Like, no, it's July. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For some reason, it felt like that this movie was in some kind of like development limbo. First of all, it's been 4.5 years since No Way Home came out.
Well, let's not forget the constant tug of war between Marvel and Sony over Spider-Man characters.
And there was. They worked that out, but then Marvel started kind of teetering with their questionable quality in the last 4 years. And
absolutely.
So I'm sure that, with Sony wanting to get a new Spider-Man film out, they were like, hold off. We got to figure something out here. Because it was Marvel Studios that saved Spider-Man back in 2016. in 2017. But now it's kind of the other way around, because Spider-Man No Way Home was really the last great Marvel movie. Like the last one that made you walk out going, oh, wow, that was powerful. Guardians Volume 3 was good. Don't get me wrong. It didn't tug at me like the first two did. Or like Spider-Man No Way Home did. But it was good. I gotta say that. So, you know,
kind of like Fantastic Four.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's on you.
That's on me. Yeah, I'm just not excited. I have no desire to see it, to be honest with you. I know everything is pinned on that movie for Doomsday. I get it. I understand.
Dude, you gotta take a deep breath, pull your head out of your ass, and at least watch it. Okay? Before the next movie. All right? It really just makes sense. And at times you pigeonhole us with all the things you don't want to watch. Just remember that.
What do I pigeonhole? I'm literally saying I want to see this movie, Spider-Man.
Yes.
So what do you mean I'm pigeonholing?
We could have reviewed Fantastic Four last year, but we didn't.
Meh. We were also really busy at that point. Like, I was super busy, dude. Like,
We all
I
were.
had 0
We
weekends.
still could have reviewed it.
Anyway, couple things about this. I was thinking, number one, they're saying that, you know, he's watching a video of Ned and MJ saying, "Aren't you super excited for getting accepted in MIT?" Or the first day of MIT, which implies that this is their this takes place about
6 months or so.
9 months. No Way Home.
9 months, yeah.
So that implies, but it could be an old video. They're still
Yeah,
they're
that's
definitely
also
in
true.
college. But you know, you don't know where. So, but I do have to wonder. So we're seeing him Spider-Man interact with Frank Castle. We're seeing him interact with Bruce Banner. We have no idea if Bruce Banner even knows Peter Parker in this new incarnation.
I doubt it.
I think they're going to play hard on that one, where they're not going to have his identity be known, which is fine. But him hanging around with MJ and Ned, I kind of feel that that's a little weird. This was the perfect opportunity for them to like put him in a new chapter. And he could, you know, look at a video or something like that, but it looks like they're deeply involved in this movie. And I'm worried that that's going to be a little, that's going to hold the character back. Does that make sense?
It does, but you know, they're also kind of pinning this franchise. You know, now that you have a big name like Zendaya, for her not to be involved, maybe they're worried that that's going to backfire for them. What is that sound? Okay, well, he disappeared. Anyway, you know that. Oh, sorry, your ears died again, huh?
No, I was closing the door, but I should have had you go on a bigger tangent. Sorry. Anyway,
you know, again, like Zendaya's blown up, so
apparently they're married now.
Cool.
Like they got married secretly recently. So good for them. Yeah, and she's got Dune 3 coming out at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. Too much sand.
It's coarse and it gets everywhere.
Dude, I began to understand Anakin Skywalker a lot differently about a year after Revenge of the Sith came out.
I do feel that the hate for that line is unreasonable. It does get everywhere. I mean,
it is a little clunky. So, I mean, but I think it might have been better if he was angry about it. Damn it. I hate this shit. It's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. But, I mean, again, yeah. No, I agree on that. So, damn, I wanted to rip that remark from Seth MacFarlane on dropping names with Jonathan Frakes and Brent Spiner.
Yeah, I've been watching that.
So it's a good line. I'll save it for next time.
I watched all the whole episode with them and Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion, and then I just started rolling into the Seth MacFarlane one. About 2/3 of the way through that one.
I watched both of those in all, and that was good.
I'm not done with it. I just haven't finished it.
Yeah. So it's all good stuff. It's a little esoteric, and it's probably meant to be that way, and that's not a bad thing. Just
Who's the boss isn't food. Swing and a miss.
yeah. It is a little esoteric in that they're theater people talking about theater things, or entertainment people talking about entertainment things. It's a neat behind the scenes thing. I just wonder, there's not a lot of jokes that keep things fresh. So I'm curious to see how well this will breathe out. I know this sounds like I'm being super critical. I'm not. I just noticed that it was like super theater kid like.
The Seth MacFarlane one?
Well, and Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk, definitely.
What I kind of liked is that, it was like you had, a similar pairing, just like almost a generation apart.
Oh, yeah. As in Frakes and Spiner and
Tudyk and
Fillion and Tudyk, yeah. How funny you chose the opposite order of the names that I had. Oh, we can't be friends anymore, I guess. Or maybe that's why this works. I don't know. So,
well, enough talking about other people's podcasts.
Yeah, that's it. That's the line. So, is this where we talk about everyone else's day and their podcasts, or?
I mean, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But
what brings us here today, Dan? The day. Yeah.
Have you been drinking? You're like slurring your words.
I haven't actually. That's the key.
Well,
maybe I need to start.
Actually, I had a thought, because this week is like the St. Patrick's Day week. Of course, my family and I, we like to go see the High Kings because they're always in town around here on St. Patrick's Day. And of course, the show was amazing, as always. Just blew the roof off the place with a couple of performances. I mean, but they also do a lot of old Irish traditional songs, so some of them can be pretty depressing. They're sung beautifully, but at one point they had knocked out like 4 or 5, songs from the famine, and it was like, and they're kind of like, we're gonna play this other song, we're gonna play this next song, and this is about this. And he's like, I swear we're gonna get to some of the upbeat ones. We just need to get through this one more. It's like we're really hitting you on a load.
Yeah, that's an easy thing to fall into, an easy trap. All the depressing songs,
but it's so beautiful. That's the thing, right? Like this is some dark subject matter, some horrible things that happened in history, and the music is still beautiful. I mean, it was fantastic. But again, you know, and as you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and I'm a little, you know, we're Americans, so we kind of bastardize the holiday a little bit. But
we practically invented the holiday. It used to be a solemn feast. Now it's a big fete.
Yes. My point being is that, you know, I'm also not 25 anymore where let's go out for St. Patty's Day. We're going to bar crawl and get green beer. Hell no. I make too much money to drink cheap beer. And if you're not going to color Guinness green, and you certainly aren't going to color an Irish red green either.
No, that'll just turn brown.
Exactly. So, like I said, I make good enough money so I don't have to drink cheap beer. And I was waiting to drink my Harp and Smithwick's and my Guinness, and I've been fully enjoying them because they are good.
Good.
But since it's later here, I'm not going to go with the Guinness. It's a little too heavy before bed.
A little hard to go to bed on a full stomach like that.
Yeah, chugging a loaf of bread.
Yeah, basically.
But and here's the interesting thing, right? So we talked about the High Kings being part of the music for Sinners last year, right?
Yep.
That was actually kind of one of the reasons why I went to see the movie. I'm like, well, I'm very curious how they're going to put this music in here. You know, they made a big deal out of the song "The Rocky Road to Dublin," where it talks about ghosts and goblins, and you know. But then, you know, that movie also, as I was thinking about it, and of course, this year's tour is called the Rocky Road to Dublin tour, and they start with the Rocky Road to Dublin. In fact, I am going to send you the video. Just play the clip, okay? And it'll help illustrate the point I'm going to start, okay?
This is what show
it's very
prep is
helpful.
For, DT.
Huh?
This is what show prep is for, DT.
It's simple. And mind you, it's a cell phone video, folks, so. But.
Ultra high quality, gotcha. Here we go.
It's decent for a cell phone. There's the ghosts and goblins. There you go. You can. So, you know, that again, I think that's one of the reasons why that song was kind of chosen to be played by the vampires in the movie. That being said, that is very big in Irish culture, and in Irish mythology, the various mythological creatures and beings that are so prevalent in Irish and Celtic cultures, some of which are, a lot of it has influenced a lot of things in pop culture to this day. You know,
Yep.
not just Celtic mythology, but mythology in general. I mean, didn't we all go see Thor movies? And
We did. And I think that's a good jumping off point.
So basically, my thought over the last couple of days is, what are the influence of real mythology and cultural foundational stories on what are modern sci-fi, fantasy, and pop superheroes and other pop culture, right? Clearly, there's been remakes, there's been all sorts of things, but you have firsthand experience with this.
Yeah. Okay. So I brought up some key questions because you brought up the topic, and I'm like, yes, I like that. I think I can come from a certain perspective on this. Growing up, okay, so I'm gonna advance a question about creativity later on in the pod. Okay,
Sure.
But I want to plant that seed right here. So growing up, I could not find a good representation of Irish mythology beyond Darby O'Gill and the Little People. And that was, you know, leprechauns. You got the She, you got the Headless Rider. It's done.
It's like a Dualin.
Dualin, yeah. You talk about the bewitchments and the
Banshees
games
and
that
the
the
Fables.
leprechauns play and things like that. The overall plot is really just Lord Fitzpatrick wants Darby to move from one house to the other, and that's the tragedy. Even though it's the house that Katie lived in. That I loved the crap out of that movie. It was a great movie, probably perfection when it comes to number one, technical brilliance, and number two, a good representation. You got a good Donnybrook in it too, between Sean Connery and what's his name, Pony. So right at the end there, I liked that. But in the 90s, I couldn't find anything. There was Xena and Hercules that did pretty good with Greek mythology, and then they started branching out. Xena
Didn't Hercules go to the British Isles?
He did. He basically went on a walkabout after Aeolus died, when he was killed by Dayhawk. And
the first Aeolus, right?
The first Aeolus, yeah. So he comes back, but spoiler alert.
Yeah, isn't it an alternate world Aeolus?
Europe. That I can't tell you because that was right at the beginning of my senior year, and I can't confirm. So I wasn't watching as readily as I used to. But they got to play in other mythologies and stuff. Hercules met Gilgamesh. That was cool. And then he ended up in Ireland, in Ire, and he meets a redheaded lass. I don't know if she was an elf or something. Like, she tagged along a while they were roaming around Britannia. And that was cool. There is one though that really let me down. Talk about show prep. So because of that gave me a taste of like, ooh, I really want more of modern telling of Irish mythology. Give me more of that. And oh, here we go. This was awful. And yep, I got a screen again.
What is it? Up the Long Ladder?
No. I actually liked that at the time. Hallmark's The Magical Legend of the Leprechauns.
Oh, this was like
it was all it was Romeo and Juliet retold through leprechauns. That was the A plot, and then the B plot was Randy Quaid, I don't know, coming home to a land that he never grew up in because he lost some family. And yeah, first of all, Randy Quaid is a romantic lead. Weird.
That's Orla Brady, isn't it?
I believe so. Yep, Orla Brady. Yeah.
She's from Picard.
Yeah, she's
Irish, of course.
She's the Irish Romulan. So, but this was just awful. As soon as I realized that they were doing Romeo and Juliet, and I don't even remember what this story plot was at all. Because
Randy Quaid learning how to wear an Aran sweater.
It really was. It was as soon as he started wearing the sweater, I'm like, oh, you freaking poser. This is dumb. Like, but there's Colm Meaney as a leprechaun, as the father of one of the families. I don't know if it's Capulets or.
Well, let me go ahead and remind you that Colm Meaney almost walked off the set of Deep Space Nine when they were going to have a leprechaun on If Wishes Were Horses, and they changed it to Rumpelstiltskin.
Well, first of all, that was a better call because Rumpelstiltskin was a bigger threat.
Yes.
And number two, why did he have his panties all in a bunch?
Because he actually felt like he had more power to put his foot down on this than he did in Up the Long Ladder. He's like, no,
was he in Up the Long Ladder?
Yes. O'Brien. I knew there was a fine Irishman running this shit.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. It goes to show how many times I've seen that episode. Oh, the gall to have a real Irishman involved in that and to have to be talked down to like that. Yeah.
He was a day player at the time. They really liked him. They really wanted him on Deep Space Nine, and he actually felt like he could have some power now. He's like, not fucking doing a leprechaun, bro.
We're not doing that.
You can take the leprechaun and shove it up your arse.
Yeah, I'm sure he said it just like that too. So, well, there goes that.
If he did, I would have even more props for him.
I know, right? So so this left a sour taste.
The money must have been really good on this one.
Oh, it had to have been, right? I mean, and then we got Whoopi as something.
What?
I don't know.
An elf of some variety, some fae folk.
No idea. I don't know. And then there's not many more pictures of this. Oh, here's the Romeo and Juliet characters. So there's that. I think Colm was her father. I think. I don't know. And spoiler alert, they get married, but they don't die. And they don't die. Let's see, Daniel Betts and Caroline Carver. I think we've seen her in things. Maybe not.
I would assume so.
George and the Dragon, You, Me, and Captain Longbridge, Sharp and Jonathan. Okay, I think she's just basically been in.
So she's
ITV and BBC, maybe Sky. But anyway, so yeah.
Was this made around the same time they were making that Merlin movie? Like, didn't they do a run where they were doing these?
Yeah, so Merlin was their first big one in that regard. And then that was really good. That came out in 96, which was great. That was cool because they had a lot of Celtic music in that, even though it was a British story, so to speak. But I really liked it. You can still find it on YouTube, the whole thing. It still holds up pretty well. Although I haven't actually read The Legend of King Arthur. So I've heard that and they actually say it in the movie that there's an issue with the continuity or whatnot, where Martin Short even tells Merlin, you tell the story really well, even though there's a few different parts about that I thought were a little different. And then Merlin even goes, I know, but that's how the audience likes it. So, yeah. And then, so from that point on, and then they had, I think they did Noah, and then they did The World of the Leprechaun, The Magical World of the Leprechauns in 99. After this, it was a declining level of storytelling, but it was flashy, so that's why they did it. It was on NBC, and these were big television moments. So that being said, from this moment, I was just like, all right, well, I want to find something good that would be fun to watch and also teach me more about Irish folklore and legends and stuff. there was an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Okay.
Where an anthology series, different actors every time, where they introduce a kid being bewitched into turning into a changeling if he didn't do a certain act at a certain time. And he actually enlists the help of a little woman, whom they kind of play off. Ew, was she a leprechaun or was she not at the end? It was good. But of gratification. I don't know what just happened there. I think I just cut out.
You glitched.
So, it took me decades. It took me in 2009. I finally was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to figure this out. So I came up with the concept of this Changeling Chronicles about, and I think.
Can we take down this awkward picture?
It looks like Daryl Hannah from Splash, doesn't it? Oh, that's even worse. Yeah, I'm going to stop.
Yeah, just take it down.
So I came up with this. Took me 3 years to write. Basically about an American boy who goes to Ireland and suddenly finds out that he's got special powers and he doesn't know why. And weird things are happening around him. And then he finds out he's a changeling. And changelings always bring bad things to the families that they are in. And so, he's got a crisis of identity and things like that. I feel it plays off of the whole Cuchulainn, the first hero of Ireland, banishing Maeve and her boy toy Mael off to the land of Tir na Nog and kind of banishing the fair folk away from Ireland for a little while. They're able to come back, but Maeve and Mael are still stuck there. And the whole story is, how can we keep them there? Because they're trying to break out using changelings. So that's the key. And then I had the second book, which is my favorite of the two. Really good moments. This hard part about this fucking book, man, takes place in Ireland. So I had to figure out, I don't know if you know this, I don't go to Ireland every other week. So I had to do research. I had to make some things generic. But I had to make sure that it was tasteful and accurate, right? So there's that. This, I made sure it just stayed completely in New England. So they go to Providence. They go to the town I use is not the name of the town we grew up in, but it's basically that town. I allude to it in certain locations. They go to Smithfield, Rhode Island. They go to Portland, Maine in this book. So a lot of traveling. But
just so you know, man, Portland, Maine is not in New England. It's the only part of Maine that isn't.
How? I know we got to keep Portland weird, but that Portland too?
No.
So anyway, that was fulfilling. It teaches a bit about Irish history and stuff, and folklore history. And I'm in the middle of my third one, and there are some new things that we teach and go over, and I'm having fun with that too.
Well, yeah, man, and that's kind of the interesting thing. Like changelings, it is to
do this.
Changelings, are in other folklore, but it's most prevalent in Celtic folklore, and I wonder if it influenced things like most of the time when you have changelings in science fiction and whatnot, they're usually not the good guys.
No. And all right, this has changelings in it too, by the way. So this is how my son got introduced to changelings. I'm going to stop sharing this for right now. We'll talk about your angle though.
Well, I mean,
shapeshifters were Odo's people were not the first shapeshifters we have met in Star Trek.
No,
but they made a point to call his race changelings.
Correct.
Which I didn't know about.
What did you just say about changelings and Celtic folklore?
Changelings bring nothing but misery and bad luck to the families that find them, or to the families that take them in.
Right. Sounds a lot like the founders of the Dominion.
It does. And I actually like that. That's really the only reference to Irish folklore that they do. And it's a very roundabout kind of reference, so to speak, you know? Not even O'Brien says anything about that.
You know, it's just something interesting, you know, that you can add to it, right? So there's real history or and folklore, right? There's real folklore. But even if not, like I think it was Babylon 5. They talk about a changeling net, which is used to it's like a disguise.
Yeah.
Make you take on the form of something. Again, was never used by a good guy. So, you know, you have some of these things and then you have like Game of Thrones and, you know, a lot of fantasy series are rife with a lot of this mythology, particularly the Celtic and the
Children of the Forest.
Well, the Children of the Forest, you know, are somewhat like fae folk to a degree, but Lord of the Rings, you know, a lot of these series are, you know, like Tolkien based a lot of his on, you know, Celtic and, you know, old British folklore, you know, the elves, you know, a lot of these things were coming straight out of Celtic folklore or the folklore of the British Isles, you know, England to, you know, for most of it. But, you know, you also had some of your continental folklore as well, your orcs, your elves. This, you know, these are things, goblins. These are things from his own folklore that he studied the languages, helped him create. And there's a very, you know, ethereal, you know, Western European folklore and mythology to the Lord of the Rings. And again, so does George R.R. Martin with the, you know, Song of Ice and Fire universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have people who develop, you know, who through their bloodlines, like the Children of the Forest could be green seers, where they can see see events through the past and the future. Skin changers, people who can warg into, you know, animals and whatnot. You know, a lot of this mythology that comes from some Celtic mythology. You know, you also have the more continental mythology with dragons and such, but there's definitely a mixture of folklore in there. I mean, the influence on Tolkien, you know, is very clear, and Tolkien's influence on Martin is also quite clear.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a mythology to this, you know. Yes, Star Wars was primarily, you know, based on like Westerns, serials, and samurai films. But these wise monks who are, you know, seek knowledge and whatnot, the Jedi have a very Celtic vibe to them at times too, not just the Ronin and Wandering Samurai. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
And you talk about like the changelings, don't they swap their young with the youngs, with babies, right?
Yeah. Oh shoot! Did they?
There's
cribs
something
with
vaguely
iron?
Sithy about that.
Yeah, no, they would usually. The big thing is like a changeling would be blamed for a sudden and dramatic personality or physical change in a child. Like they become vastly sickly, and they accuse the child of being lost, and they now have a changeling in hand, or bad behavior, mental illness. That's representative of a changeling coming into the family, and yeah, when you have all that stuff that suddenly happens, yeah, it's gonna bring discord into the family household, in some form or another, because that changes the entire life plan, in of that regard. I took it a different angle than you were, so why don't you reel it back in and tell me where you were gonna go?
No, I mean, there's a lot of influence I've seen. The more I read up about, Celtic myths and folklore and whatnot, the more I learn about it. The more I deep into the Irish heritage through the music or stories or whatnot, the more I see things that, like, oh, somebody clearly was influenced. Like, take, for example, the Headless Horseman, right? One of the great American literary legends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have the Dualan, which is a headless spirit, of Irish folklore. Now, granted, there is some historical pieces coming with, like, the story of a Hessian losing his head in a battle and some weird things in and around that New York area. There's some hints of fact there, like, I think near Tarrytown, New York, there is like a British soldier or a Hessian soldier who was decapitated by a cannonball who's buried out there. Like there's some hints of, truth there, which only makes the legend, I think, better. Right?
Yeah,
but
no, I like that. Yeah. It adds a realness to it. Like a could it be kind of thing.
Right. But there's also these various, characters and creatures and other things in particular, that it just seems to have influenced a lot of our own mythology and stuff here that we've grown up with as the 20th and 21st century people, how we get our entertainment now.
Sure. Yeah. I suppose that there is. Oh, I'm putting together an interesting parallel. Did you have more on your train to say?
Well, I have plenty, but we can, we can continue.
Okay. I'm going to share this and then I'm going to talk about questions about this. So my son, like I showed earlier, this is a really good show. It's on Netflix. It's produced and created by Guillermo del Toro. So it's good.
You
this
assume
basically
it's good.
Oh, I've seen it. It's fantastic. My son had me watch it. This was appointment viewing for the two of us to watch together.
Sure.
Because he heard me talking about changelings and he's like, what? Those are really a thing? And I'm like, yeah. And I explained to him and he's like, well, they're in this Troll Hunter series. So this Troll Hunter series, basically, it's really what it is. This kid in the middle becomes a troll hunter. The first human to ever become a troll hunter. Usually it's another troll that does it. And he's an underdog, and the trolls that need him to protect them have no idea how this human has the ability to be able to do this because he's weak. He has to learn. But this show marries not just like Germanic troll slash Scandinavian troll lore, but it also marries Arthurian legend and Celtic mythology with Maeve, with changelings, with gnomes. And it is done flawlessly. We meet Merlin. It's really well done. And they also merge in aliens with this, which you never see. You never see that be done before. And they do this pretty well. Yeah. Oh, and Kelsey Grammer's in it too. This is Kelsey Grammer right here.
Hello, Bart.
But it's a good show. This was very effective. I felt that it did a very good job of marrying all of these different folkloric elements together in a very cohesive story about coming of age, really. And that's the key. Like, folklore isn't just about, a fairy does this or fairy does that. No, there's a reason why a fairy or a leprechaun will trick someone. It's because that someone got greedy. And because that someone got greedy, they needed to be taught a lesson. Those things. This does that. Now, I suppose the question would be, because you were talking about pop culture and things like that. And, I raised the question of, we now have a bunch of writers and producers that were brought up on pop culture, and they're being asked to create more pop culture. But all they're really doing is building off of what's already come before. Like, there's no great new IP. It's how can we use this old IP now in a completely different way, kind of thing.
Well, there is that.
But I don't know if this is related to us creators, and I'm going to put myself generously in that. Just behoove me for a minute, or humor
That's
me.
Not how
behoove.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Humor me for a moment. Just humor me for a moment. But does that mean that us creators are using other works, and that's lazy?
Well, I think it would be disingenuous to say that we're not influenced by others in general in our creative process, right? Because you didn't invent these creatures for your books. You dug into mythology.
Right.
Which I'm sure a lot of the earliest forms of entertainment, more modern style entertainment, were clearly influenced by mythology. I mean, even Romeo and Juliet went all the way back to like Arab and Celtic tales of star-crossed lovers.
True. Tristan and Isolde. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Romeo and Juliet was based off Tristan and Isolde, a Celtic thing.
So and then what are you going to say? Oh, West Side Story, that was great. Well, it was Romeo and Juliet. Oh, Romeo and Juliet was great. Oh, well, it was like these 4 other mythologies going all the way back thousands of years. I'm not saying that there are no new ideas, but there's clearly influences, right?
Right. And there's basically 7 stories that are out there that have worked, right? They work.
Sure.
And those are really the only 7 stories we can retell in a different fashion. So,
well, I mean, just look at Star Wars. It's part Arthurian legend. It's part samurai. It's part Western. And later it's part political drama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, politics goes all the way back to court intrigue, royal families for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
You have, but Star Wars is a very good example of the hero's journey archetype. I learned about this in an English class in high school. You have the hero, Luke Skywalker, right? so to speak. You have the sidekick, so to speak, kind of Han Solo, Chewie. You got a couple of them, but you have the mentor. You have the quest. You know, he went through a couple of mentors, but he had his quest. He had the support, you know, and of course he had to fight the great evils, right?
The hero's
and there's
tale.
more, right?
The everyman.
There was actually a documentary on Netflix. It was about, like, I want to say it was like myths and legends, and they were talking about you know, the story archetype, and it's important. You know, this is how we construct not only our stories, but these stories are in some ways how we tell our own history, even to this day.
Right.
Right. Like Romeo and Juliet, they were opposing families, and now you have West Side Story. It was not only families, but it was also ethnicities in a time where, you know, that was an issue, right? The 50s. Right. Now you're adding things like prejudice and stuff. And it's like these morality plays that Star Trek used. Some of these stories that Star Trek told, particularly the original series, Next Generation, some of these are in some ways retellings of stories going back hundreds and thousands of years, you know, influenced by mythology, religion, all of that, you know, and in some ways, also, which is kind of funny too, like when Star Trek does it, is many of these tales, these morality plays and these stories were in some ways to explain things, maybe through culture or through religion, you know, these stories, right? So
yeah,
there's interesting things about that, right? Almost every culture has some legend of undead, be it zombie, vampire, whatever, some form of skin changer like werewolves. And depending on where you are, like werewolves in Eastern Europe,
in every culture.
Like, but the werewolves in Eastern Europe are a lot different than the werewolves in Ireland. The Celtic werewolves are actually protectors.
Yeah.
And you have skin changer legends here in the US, in North and South America, that weren't probably, it's hard, you know, it's hard to imagine how much they were influenced. You know, you have these legends that grow up in these parts of the world, some of which I'm not going to say it's impossible, but these stories grew up in areas that were nowhere near connected. These cultures that are so vastly different, you know, skin changers of our own indigenous people. Is a legend.
It's because this isn't the first civilization on Earth. I'm going to prescribe to that theory. We could talk about that later, but it's for the same reason why every culture on Earth has a flood myth. It's because there was another culture before that, advanced culture. So yeah,
that's why we have Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah, because you know.
Every galactic culture has one.
Every culture has has a Jeffrey Combs. So, but it's, I mean, there's no proof of it, but there, folklorically, all of our histories have some very similar stories that have taught us similar parables in some form or another.
Well, it's funny. It goes back to what Mrs. Catman sometimes tells me when we talk about, you know, books and TV and movies, and she's like, "There are no new ideas." Well, if there's only 7 stories, I guess that's true.
No, that's it. That's really what it is. There are no new ideas, and so I suppose, you know, and as someone who writes and is constantly thinking of stories and stuff, I'm like super conscious of trying to not be derivative, you know, because that's the last thing you want to do, because it's a sign, in my mind, it's a sign of laziness or a lack of intelligence. Maybe I'm being harsh, but that's a code that I live by for myself, because it would apply to myself too. So
There's so many things, that influence our decision making, our storytelling. And you've seen influences. You look at comic books, which is a very American art form, but DC started using the Greek gods, right?
Yes.
Wasn't it in their comics? Marvel was using the Norse gods.
They were using Mab. DC was using Queen Mab from Arthurian legend.
The Shining Knight and Morgan Le Fay.
Yeah, Morgan Le Fay
became characters. Hell, even Santa Claus is a character in some of these, right?
Yeah.
You also have the influences of obviously the Norse gods in Marvel, but also as we saw in Thor and Love and Thunder, that also tied in a lot of other, real gods. The power of Zeus.
Zeus. Hercules is over here somewhere.
But you also have, just look at, Agatha all along. She was a Salem witch, and you have this history of witches and
Hercules.
No, that's the guy from Ted Lasso.
Oh, I didn't see it. Brett Goldstein. Gotcha.
Yeah, talk about something that went nowhere.
Yeah. Hercules was a good character in the comics, and they just kind of let it go. Which all the gods in this movie, by the way, as a good point, they needed a god killer. Like, this was necessary. Like, this bad guy was right. I don't think we brought it up in our review like that, or I brought it up like that, but he was he was justified.
I mean, yeah, but he cut off Stiff's arm, so not cool with that.
Was Sif in Valhalla?
No, that was the joke. He's like, at least I will die with Valhalla. Well, you survived the battle, so.
Oh yeah, that's right.
She's like, God damn it.
Yeah, that's right. This was, yeah. And here's the Tree of Life. This is what I was looking for. Basically, a version of okay. Yeah, I forgot about this scene. Was he imbuing all these kids with the power of Thor? Or are these bad guys?
Temporarily.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, the Tree of Life, that's actually good symbolism right here.
But he whispers, he's like, yeah, but temporarily.
Yeah. I've only seen this movie once, so.
It could have been better. I don't think it was as bad as everybody says it was, but it could have been better.
There were some very bad parts. I mean, the goats, man. The goats. Please.
Yep. I feel you. I feel you. But again, this is a huge cornerstone, right? Like this is Norse mythology, and you learn about, they're like, oh well, no, they're not just gods, they're aliens from another planet. That's kind of how they did. Like B5 did that with the Vorlons.
Yeah.
When Kosh says what he says, if early on he says, if I show my true self, everyone will recognize me. And then he does have to show himself, and he's like, oh, so every race they visit he shows their face of that people. And to humans, of course, they're angels, right? So and of course that feeds a little bit into the science-y part of things to a degree, but it also, to what you were saying about how our creation myths come from or whatnot, maybe there is another civilization that happened beforehand, stuff like that. But there's plenty of things from mythology that we use in superheroes, in fantasy, and even in science fiction as hard as Star Trek. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there are things that they pull from mythology that, you know, it's not that they're ripping it off, but that these are where we get our stories from, right?
These are our modern myths.
Right.
Right. And perhaps that's why I get so angry when these modern myths that raised me are then bastardized and you know, defaced. It's like it feels like a betrayal, like an insult to me.
Well, yeah, there's also when people do a slapdash job about it, half-assed, or they shoehorn too many things in, you know, when the story's not good.
Right.
Even when it has every opportunity for the story to be very good. People aren't doing it.
Yeah. No, and that's true. And you know, it's funny because I don't know, Odysseus was just a man, right? But he was a man with a particular set of skills. Written at a time.
Who you are, but I'm coming to Troy.
And I'm gonna find you, and when I do.
But Odysseus was also supposed to be very clever, right?
Right. So he kind of had a superpower. And he was stronger than most people.
Right. And that's how, because his bow, that was what kept and I guess we'll see how well they do that movie coming up. But the bow was supposed to be so difficult to string that they felt only Odysseus could string his bow.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, if somebody can, you know, string my husband's bow or whatever, then I'll marry the suitor or whatever it was. And she kept that up for like whatever it was, 20 years or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And and then Odysseus comes home and strings the bow and then begins to slaughter every single person that defaced his home and drank his drink.
Trying to bang his wife.
Tried to violate his wife, so to speak. But you know, he was an extraordinary man that survived an extraordinary journey because he survived, you know, cyclopses and sirens and
Queen Circe.
Was she in an iteration of that?
No. Lena Headey was in 300.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. That was sad. That was sad.
They really overdid everything in that one.
Well, they did.
Compared to the real Battle of Thermopylae, but it was still kind of wild and entertaining.
Hey, I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. The sequel I didn't see, but shoot, I'm all off track now. I guess the point is, like, back then, you know, back in those days, you're talking about the Odyssey, you're talking about Jason and the Argonauts and stuff. These heroes were people of extraordinary abilities, like you Gilgamesh, you know, another one.
Gargamel.
He did have a tenacious ability to keep wanting to eat these damn Smurfs. That's for sure. And I don't think he ever ate one. So. There's
also a lot of self-confidence, no matter how many failures.
True. So, you know, and when you talk about modern myths, I mean, we just have those, but they're now Spider-Man. You know, ordinary people that are given extraordinary abilities. Superman's a little different. but he would have been an ordinary person, but he was given extraordinary abilities because he came to Earth. True. Batman was given trauma, which made him an extraordinary person.
Trauma and money.
Yeah, trauma and money. Yeah, that'll do it. But
what's
all of our heroes
again? I'm rich.
I'm rich.
You know, that was probably the best answer Batman ever gave.
I would think so. That is one of the better lines, that's for sure. But you talk about modern myths, and like these are our folklore now. These are the ideals that we want to live up to.
Well, here, listen to this. Do you know the full title of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
Oh, I used to. It's going to sound familiar when you say it. I can't even guess it.
A Modern Prometheus.
Yes, that's right.
So even all the way back, literally 200 years ago, close to right now, you know, there's still the influence of Greek mythology and whatnot in the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bram Stoker's Dracula. All right, Bram Stoker, right? An Irishman.
Yeah.
Lots of these, you know, skin changing, but also the Eastern European legends where there's vampires are very prevalent in the Eastern European folklore.
Yeah.
But there's a little mixture of the Celtic lore in the, you know, the actual tale of Dracula.
Right. Well, because Bram Stoker, you know.
Correct.
Irishman. But you're right. He did an amalgamation off of previous folklore, and he was influenced by Mercy Brown.
Tuberculosis.
Well, yeah, the tuberculosis that took most of the Brown family. You know, Mercy Brown from Exeter, Rhode Island. Was it Exeter? I think it was Exeter.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was near South County. It was down there. So that property must be millions of dollars now. But yeah, you're right. Bram Stoker, he took folklore and made an amalgamation, and he made something that lasted in his
modern tale.
Yeah.
How many times has Dracula been redone? Or vampire stories in movies?
Oh, vampires when they blew up 18 years ago because of, you know, that.
The problem was how little these stories had in line with the historic folklore. Like, I'll give Buffy the Vampire Slayer this. They dove into the folklore of these demons and vampires. You know, the lore and legend of vampires was pretty close to what that came from folklore in things like Buffy. But when you have sparkly vampires who can go outside in the cloudy days, are you fucking kidding me?
They were a little overpowered, but she wasn't familiar with vampiric lore, and she just kind of turned it into her own thing. You don't have to like it. I respect that she made it her own thing. She's not a good writer, but it was good enough to. Hell, I read them all because my wife was so into it, and I wanted to know what she was into. So it kept my attention long enough.
Nah.
So I'm not telling you to read
it with a 10-foot pole, but that's just me because I like the mythology.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I was able to predict most of what was happening. Because
hey, look, man, there's some really great movies and books and TV shows that you see enough of these stories. You use critical thinking, much like you and I do when we watch, particularly a lot of these shows, movies that we like. Can go, I think I see where this is heading. That way, if there is a twist that I don't see coming, it's even all the better.
Yeah,
but I will still remain riveted if the writing is strong, if the acting is strong, if the plot makes sense.
War Machine. About 2 minutes in, I'm like, oh, his brother's gonna die here.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's like, oh yeah, he's so dead. He's so dead.
Right? They keep talking about all the things we're gonna do, and we
It's like, oh, you're not doing them. You're not gonna do them.
In the old days of TV, if you started to see like a character grow in like a recurring character, like start to grow in popularity and maybe get like the focus of an episode, you're like, oh, I guess this guy's going to become a bigger piece of the pie. Yeah, not nowadays. If you have a recurring character, well, all of a sudden becomes like the main focus of an episode. Count their numbers. They're about to die.
Yeah. It may not be that first episode, but it's a limited sign-on. It's going to be a limited sign-on. Yeah, limited arc. That's for sure. Yeah, well, and that's the writers trying to keep the viewer on their toes. Right.
Oh,
so
well, yeah, but you really like this character, so we're going to give you more of him. And then, because he's like the main character of this episode, they're going to kill him at the end. Yeah. It's going to really shake you up. And it's like, no, it's going to really piss me off because I could see it coming from a mile away. You guys haven't had an original idea in 10 years.
And I call that the Han Solo issue. That element existed long before The Force Awakens, but right when they landed on, Han Solo, I was sitting there in the middle of the movie going, wow, Harrison Ford's in a lot of this, and I'm enjoying it because I'm like, it's nice to see so much of Han Solo again. This is great. I like this. And then he's dead. He just unceremoniously falls into the reactor. That's wildly open to this catwalk, by the way. Where can you imagine all that radiation that's coming up through that pipeline?
They finally make fun of it, like when they break it, when Mando, Cara Dune, and Grief Karga break into the Imperial base on Navarro. They'll kind of kick him off in season 2. And they bring him in. It's like, hey, we got to go get rid of these guys. And like, they're talking. He's like, yeah, hey, watch your step. There's no railings here. I'm like, after 30 years of Star Wars, somebody finally calls out that there's no railings.
Who said that? Was it Bill Burr's character?
No, he wasn't in that episode.
He wasn't in that episode. Oh, I'm thinking of the other one in season 2. Yeah.
When they have to get into the Imperial base where they free Bill Burr so they can get into the other Imperial base. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Talk about
we had one of the best monologues in Star Wars, man. The guy who actually doesn't give a shit about Star Wars had one of the best monologues in Star Wars.
Yeah, he did. I really liked his character. He was good. But now we'll never see him again.
Well,
unless he's in Mandalorian.
Could be.
But
could be.
The star kind of fell off, though.
He's hanging out in Space Boston.
Space Boston. Oof. Even in Space Boston, they still curse the hell out of you.
Yeah, fucking nerf herder.
And they're still like, where's my friggin' dunks, kid? Come on. I gotta get my iced coffee. Let's go.
I need my Dunkin' droid nuts. Where are they?
Yeah. Oh man. So I don't want to beat a horse. Dead horse.
By PETA.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse on this one, but so we've gone through, is it derivative? Is it not? And I think we both agree the conclusion on that is it can be. Depends on how you tell it. But everyone's taken folkloric work and made it a version of their own in some way, shape, or form.
But that's kind of it, though, right? Like, the Romans literally stole Greek mythology and made their own version.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
Okay.
That's a good point.
The Roman gods were all basically Greek gods, just given Latin names, which is where we get the names of the planets.
Which is funny because those names only live on in the planets. They don't live on in when we're taught Greek mythology, it's Greek mythology. It's the Greek names. Makes you wonder.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's all Greek to me.
Yeah,
but,
it is.
Look, I'll say this. When done right, particularly bringing in the actual mythology, it can be very interesting, right? Like actually, when we watched Red One, they sprinkled in mythology throughout it, which kind of made me wonder if it did well enough, could we see spin-offs, following these mythological police there that Lucy Liu was running, right?
Yeah,
they already arrested the headless horseman. Just
they
to
did.
Prove the point.
they just wanted to rule it out.
Yeah,
that was
Krampus and some of these others. When you bring in
Gorilla,
yeah, right. When you bring in these the folklore and the mythology, as long as you do it right, that's what really nails it. Like Buffy did a good job at it. So did Sleepy Hollow, the TV series. At one point they encountered a person who was a Wendigo.
Ooh, in Sleepy Hollow?
Mm-hmm.
I think you brought that up.
I mean,
I only learned about that mythology along with and Skinwalkers, by the way. Another form of shapeshifter from Navajo legend.
Mm-hmm.
But I only learned about that stuff like 2019, and that's all you hear right now on not on Facebook, on YouTube and stuff when it comes to creepypastas and things like that. That's the big trend right now. So Dogman.
Huh?
And Dogman.
You mean the kids' book?
No, like werewolves, but they call him Dogman, like the Michigan Dogman.
Oh, okay. Well, I think isn't Dogman more of a Native American myth or something like that?
Could be, because there is a version of that. But the modern Dogman is basically like sightings of Dogman in Michigan, in Wisconsin, the Beast of Bray Road. All modern. These are all modern takes, and there's literally sheriff's departments that have files called werewolf of all these sightings up in that area.
Yeah.
Like,
if they howl and you hear London in there, it's just a karaoke bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's Werewolves of London. Good stuff.
By the way, Adam Sandler does a really good cover of that song.
Does he?
Like an actual cover of this song.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, yeah. Just so you know there. But, we have our own American mythology, like real mythology. And there's some things, particularly the things that come from the Native Americans, that do have similarities to mythology around the world in other spots. But the stories that we tell are important, right? And it influences modern storytelling. And when they do it right, particularly not just like when you bring in the Celtic mythology or the Germanic mythology, the folklore, it needs to be done right, because if you're not only just jacking up good stories, but you're also dicking with people's heritage.
Well, and that's the other factor, right?
I mean, I think the closest we got to like real good Celtic mythology in the next generation was when Beverly was banging the candle ghost.
That was, yeah. Oh, you know who did it really well? Speaking of the next generation, Gargoyles. Gargoyles was fantastic in that, but it was based off of Shakespearean plays, it wasn't being taken from the actual source material. It was being taken from Shakespeare's plays. So you got Puck,
which was influenced
by. Go ahead.
Yeah, by the real mythology.
By the real mythologies. So Puck was not an invention of Shakespeare, but it was reused by Shakespeare. They did an Irish episode with Cuchulainn. Colmini was in it. The first hero of Ireland. The hero that united Ireland and whatnot.
There's all sorts of great Celtic heroes in mythology. Finn McCool, legendary hero of Irish folklore. All the way up to the great deeds of the Fae folk and their mischief and whatnot. And it's just been there. It's in Ghosts and Goblins being called in the Rocky Road to Dublin is a real throwback to Celtic mythology. Like the fact that there's the legend of the Banshee isn't just like some wandering spirit. Like there's one Banshee for your family.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to go over to the O'Briens now. All the Smiths I've called, all the O'Learys I've called. No. I'm the O'Leary's Banshee. When you hear me wail, an O'Leary's going down.
Yeah, I screwed that up because there's only some families in Ireland that were afflicted with the Banshee, and the Finnertys were not. And my character's last name was Finnerty, and I was influenced by Darby O'Gill and the Little People. O'Gill was not a family that was afflicted by the Banshee, but we saw that, so that's what I used it.
You tweak it a little. You're kind of creating your own slice of the universe. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I messed up. But hey, it doesn't change anything.
If you put an author's note in there, for my writing,
we'll just a wizard did it.
Well, I mean, Mrs. Kaufman reads a lot of historical fiction, and she sometimes does seasonal things, looking for things at Christmas, summer reads, things like that. She's been on a little bit of a Celtic vibe, now, and she's reading one that's a bit more horror based, but they talk about the banshees and whatnot. But a lot of her writers who do take this stuff seriously may say, look, I tweaked this, not 100% accurate to the period, or tweak a little bit. It was a little creative license. Basically, it's like I acknowledge that it's not kind of correct, but I'm doing it for the story. Here's a quick reason why, and I was not meaning to insult anybody's heritage, whatever. So, a lot of these historical fiction books, particularly the ones with the, what do we call them, magical realism or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because there's a big influence of magic and folklore in a lot of historical fiction writings right now. We kind of talked about it last year when we were talking about trends in
particularly women's publishing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of an interesting thought, but these authors who, seem to put in a lot of research and trying to nail the time period and culture and whatnot they're in, and you know, if they make some changes, they're going to acknowledge it to make sure that it's, you know, kind of covered. But
well, you know,
I
and
digress.
it's not like I used the Banshee in like a throw off kind of way. Like it's like the Banshee, it starts subtle with the main character, you know, hearing the wind howl, and he's like sitting there like, what did I just do? Like, I don't know what I just did, because he's coming out of a fugue state, and he's hearing the wind howl, and it keeps getting louder and louder. And then he sits back and he's like, why is the wind howling so loudly? And that's when Orin the leprechaun comes in. He's like, that's the sign of death coming. You need to go home now. And then boom, and then move on to a turning point in that character's development. So, and so I mean, I used it as a way to drive the story forward because it was, you know, ominous and everything. But when we see her one more time, you know, I didn't use it in my second book for a reason. Number one, we're in America. But number two, because of the world building that I did, we're able to start seeing the changelings and leprechauns come over to America because Tir na Nog's grip on the earth is spreading, which is allowing these folkloric creatures to be able to spread with it. So that's the rule tweak that I used to explain why we're only now seeing leprechauns in the Northeast or changelings in the Northeast of America and things like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So,
like I said, man, as long as you make something feel kind of plausible, you know, or even, you know, kind of set up your world in a way, then people are willing to, you know, accept some of it. It's when people just completely disregard shit and they're like, oh, and they're like this is going to contradict that, and this, you know, where it shows a lack of respect for either an IP or a culture or whatever. That's what
that's
pisses
a whole other
people
thing.
off.
Yeah. And are Minotaurs specific to Greek mythology? Do you know?
I don't know. That's all I remember them from.
Just speaking of the latest trend in women's literature that my wife is not reading, by the way, I want to point this out very clearly.
Minotaurs are a thing?
Minotaurs are a thing. And another action that you do with cows is a thing when it comes to Minotaurs. And that's all I'll say.
Hamburgers?
But, no, not quite. But this somehow is what's entertaining nowadays, and I don't know. I mean, more power to you if you can get that published and millions of women love it and read it and pay you all that money. Great. Good for you. I sometimes wonder about the aptitude of what our public yearns for, though. There's a rule 34 and everything.
Yeah.
But then again, there's a rule 34 in the Bible too. So,
well, I think
No, I
we've
defended
kind
everyone.
of come to the end, haven't we?
I think we have. Look at you being all bored and whatnot. I lost
I'm
the
not
video
bored.
file.
I'm not bored, but I'm taking a look at the time.
Yeah, that's a thing. All right. So on that note, hope you guys enjoy the show. Until the next time, you guys keep dreaming. We'll keep working. Until then, everybody, so long. I'm P.S. McKay.
And I'm DT Cavman. And if you're celebrating the St. Patrick's Day holiday, do it responsibly. Have a good time. Be safe. And as always, I'll have a nice cold one waiting for you up here on the high ground.
Mack's got a pen that can warp the stars. DT's got stories from cavalry scars. One writes the worlds where the heroes fly, the other old tanks under desert sky. From sandbox forts to the final frontier, two kids with dreams and a six-pack of beer. Different roads, same old spark. Talking Trek till the streetlights spark. We read those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT Cannon lighting up the airwaves. Blasters of books, we're geek to the core, laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Mack spins a tale about a rogue AI. DT counters with man, I drove that guy. From doom to doom, we argue the stakes while the coffee gets cold and the pizza box breaks. Childhood pals in a grown-up fight for the best damn death scene on a Friday night. Pixels or pages, we're never done. Two working stiffs chasing alien sun. We're in those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT Cabin lighting up the airwaves. Blasters of books, we're geek to the core, laughing through the lore on those sci-fi guys. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, yeah. No capes, no powers, just regular days, but we'll save the galaxy in our own ways. Max drafting novels in the dead of night. DT's got tank tracks, turns them into light. Together we're louder than a hyperdrive scream. Two regular dudes living the sci-fi dream. Yeah, yeah, we're with those sci-fi guys riding warp speed waves. Mack and DT Cabin lighting up the airwaves. From the sandbox to the stars, we'll never say die. Tune in, geek out, those sci-fi guys. Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Next week, Blade Runners or replicants? Bring the Bourbon Rider boy, it's gonna get real.